Hello and welcome to AV Tiles and Sanitary Kollam, the authorized dealer of Kajaria Tiles in Kollam city. It's our 25th year in this business in this city and we have had millions of happy customers with us. Recently we started our YouTube channel and we have been imparting education videos about tiles, its technicalities and everything that a customer should know. In that series, today we are going to bring a new concept or a new insight which generally customers do not understand. It's how many types of backs are there for the tiles. The surface we know have hundreds of colors, tens of finishes, but then how many people know that the behind of the tile or where the grout gets stuck or how the tile is laid, they are changing too, and it's very important to know what those changes are to have good and lasting tiling at your home. Let's go and watch. Here I have two tiles, one with a conventional grip at the back and one with the modern grip. Now, how or why companies changed from the conventional grip to the modern grip or the new grip is because of the breakage problem. You see, when you have so much grooves, almost 1.5 millimeter to 2 millimeter deep grooves, these tiles have a rattling effect inside the box when they are being transported from Gujarat to Kerala and different parts of India. So this rattling effect inevitably creates damages in the transit, which is a loss for both companies and dealers. And it's an inconvenience for the customers to open the box and find the tiles broken. And these tiles which do not have any grip lines behind them, they tend to rattle less. So which means the chances of these tiles getting broken in the transit is very little. Now that the new tiles have no grip lines is not a reason for any worries at all. Why? Is because we have been using this grip forever, at least since the last 3-4 decades when we've been using marble and granites, because marble and granites do not have the grip lines behind them and still they stick to the floor. Now they stick to the floor is because they are material with huge weights. So it's a big slab and it weighs around let's say 150 to 200 kilograms. So it wouldn't move. But that's not the case with the tile. So this particular tile would weigh somewhere around 14 kilograms. So you cannot compare it with the marble or granite. So companies have decided that they will not go ahead with these grip lines. At least branded companies, they are increasingly moving towards 3-piece packing and this gripless back. So we have to know as a customer, as technicians, that what precautions we must take while we handle these tiles. Now let's understand what's the difference in the adhesion properties while using these two grips. Let's start with this one. First, let's try to understand how these tiles are laid and how they get stuck to the floor. So there are two types in which the tiles can be laid. The first one is a conventional one where you mix sand and cement and some moisture, add little water for moisture, and then lay it on the floor, the PCC floor, and get it spirit level. After that, you put the tiles and check the levels again with the tiles. And once you are convinced that the tiles are in spirit level, you lift one of the tiles, you take your tool and plow the area just beneath the tile. Now once it is plowed, it raises up slightly and then you put the cement mixture, the cement and water grout, which is very liquidy. You pour that in. When you put the tile will be slightly elevated from the other tiles. Now you use a hammer to hit every place on the tile until it's level with all four sides with the adjoining tiles. So this is a very conventional method. I made a figurative speech so you have understood. That's what I hope. Now the thing is that when that hitting is done with the hammer, the liquid grout and the sand particles which were plowed up, they enter these grooves. And as much as possible, but they never cover the 100% of the space. So let's say it covers 60 to 70%. The mixture has penetrated these gaps that you see here. And then once that is set, it works like a die, and the cement, it gets stuck inside and set in the same shape as it is. So eventually what happens is it's like a die cast thing, and then this tile never moves. Technically very superior. Technically it's a great thing. And why it was devised like this was initially the tiles that came were of small sizes. So it was very important that something gripped them from beneath and these tiles don't move. So it worked then. But as I said, as the volume increased, the breakages also increased, and then it was unsustainable to continue with this kind of grip, and that's why they have come to this. The second method is where you first plaster the floor over the PCC to a spirit level and just 11 or 12 mm below the final surface level that you want. Now on that surface you put tile adhesives, and then on top of that tile adhesives, and using that tile adhesive you fix the tiles. So this is the second method. Now the second method is a better method if you ask a technician, but then our technicians in most part of the world except developed countries are used to the first method because that is more forgiving. So if you make any mistake, there's better chance of correcting it in the first method. So they go with the first method all the time. And second method is increasingly being used, and you need modern laser leveling tools and all those things to get it right properly. Now since we have discussed the two popular way of laying the tiles, let's come to the main part of our today's video. Is the final process of the process where these tiles are finally leveled with their adjacent tiles, and that's where these grips come into play. So in the first method you have a liquidy substance. So if you hit with the hammer, the liquid, the grout, cement grout along with some soil particle get into these grooves and set. And in the second method, what you have to do is, once you put tile adhesive on the floor using a trowel, then you use the same trowel to apply the adhesive on this tile also. So which means all these pores that you see here, these are filled with the tile adhesive already, and then you put this tile on top of that tile adhesive, and that adhesion is the best adhesion. But generally in India at least, we are still using that hammer method, and this hammer method is dangerous because you never get 100% adhesion on the floor. It's always restricted to 60 to 70%, which means those 30%, which is approximately 30% where this adhesion hasn't happened, they always carry this risk of carrying an air hole. Now this air hole, when subjected to high heat in the summers especially, and in the closed rooms where there is very minimal air circulation, they tend to expand the air, and the air expand to such extent that that air is able to pull this tile out of the adhesion on the rest of the 70% area, and then they explode or they just come out of the floor. Now these new tiles which have no grip lines, so how do we treat them differently? So here, as I told you, in the older tiles where we have grip lines, anything 70% adhesion was sufficient given that the floor is not subjected to high heat, which results in expanding the air trapped inside. But here, since we do not have any grip lines and no solid structure formed beneath the tile, it's very important that we get 99% or 100% adhesion on this. Now that cannot be achieved with this hammer method. So for that we need a tool, and the revelation of that tool was also a secret spice of our today's video. That secret device is this small device. It's called a vibrator. It has a plastic body, a battery, and this rubber surface, and when you switch it on and apply it on the tile top, it creates a wave of very high frequency vibrations on the tile. This vibration in turn rattles the liquid grout which is beneath this tile, or the adhesive which is also in a semi-liquid form. It rattles it so much that adhesive has nowhere else to go but to get stick to the tiles back. Now I'll show you the level of vibration that this creates. Just try and listen. I think this explains itself. If you have this tool, or let's say if you are using this tile, make sure that your technicians are using this vibrator. Otherwise, the proper adhesion wouldn't happen. So I hope today's episode was able to give you some insight into an area of tiling which you wouldn't have learned before. Subscribe to our channel for more such educational videos. We have already done more than 25 videos in Malayalam language, and now we have come up with this English language series so that we can reach more audience, because the principles of tiling are same in whichever part of the world it is done. So I hope it is helpful to you, and if you really find it helpful, please make sure that you share it with your peers and get them to subscribe this channel as well. See you next time.